section 3.3 is all about parallel lines and transversals. We talked about in section 3.1 that you can have a transversal cutting through two lines, but they didn't necessarily have to be parallel, and we talked about the four types of angles: the corresponding, the alternate interior, alternate exterior, and same side interior. Well, now we're going to talk about what happens if the lines are parallel. What are some special relationships that we can draw together? Okay, so for all of these, we are going to use this picture above. So we're going to draw two parallel lines, call it L and M, and we're going to cut it with a transversal. Okay, call that T, transversal T. So all of these, there's a postulate and then three theorems. All of these start with the same thing. Okay, so we're also going to label the angles 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so we'll talk about those. So again, they all start with the same phrase. So we're going to put start with. If two parallel lines are cut, we say this word cut, are cut, which means the transversal goes through them, are cut by a transversal. Okay? Then we are going to say four things. Okay? So we'll say then. Okay? So the first one is a postulate. Then corresponding angles are congruent. This is going to be known as the corresponding angles postulate. P-O-S-T, postulate. Okay? So in this picture, we need to identify the corresponding angles. First of all, let me put that these lines are parallel, right? L and M are parallel. So L is parallel to M. You know that ahead of time. So in this picture, we know that angle 1 and angle 3 are corresponding. So they are going to be congruent. Angle 2 and angle 4 are corresponding. They are going to be congruent. Angles 5 and angle 7 are corresponding. They are going to be congruent. And angles 6 and 8 are corresponding. They will also be congruent. Okay, so there's the first one. Okay, corresponding angles are congruent. Okay, the second one. If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then alternate interior angles are congruent. This is going to be known as the alternate interior angles theorem. THM for theorem. Okay? So I got to kind of go up to the top again, and I got to show you, okay, so what are the alternate interior angles? Well, we're looking for angles in between the parallel lines on alternate sides of the transversal. So we're looking at 2 and 6 and 3 and 7. Angle 2 and angle 6 are going to be congruent, and angle 3 and angle 7 are going to be congruent. Okay? So there's the alternate interior angles theorem. Next one. We'll go to the alternate exterior angles. If two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then alternate exterior angles are congruent. And again, we'll call this the alternate exterior angles theorem. Okay. And again, if we look at the top here, our alternate exterior angles are 1 and 5, 1 and 5, and 4 and 8. Those pairs are going to be congruent. 1 and 5, and 4 and 8. Angle 1 is congruent to angle 5. Angle 4 is congruent to angle 8. Okay, and last but not least, if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then same side interior angles are supplementary. This is the different one, okay? Maybe you want to put a star by it. All the other ones are congruent. This one is supplementary. So if we look at our picture, the same side interior are 2 and 3 and 6 and 7. We need to know what supplementary means. Supplementary means they add up to 180. So the measure of angle 2 plus the measure of angle 3 is 180 degrees. And the measure of angle 6 plus the measure of angle 7 is 180 degrees. Okay? So these are the special theorems that you need to remember from today. Corresponding angles. Postulate, alternate interior angles theorem, alternate exterior angles theorem, and same side interior angles theorem. I forgot to write that. Let's write it right here. Same side, SS, same side interior angles theorem. Okay, use the shorthand. Alright, so I'm going to bring some examples in and we're going to take a look. Okay, so here we have a picture. These are lines P and Q. No, it's hard to read. And P and Q are parallel. Okay, so P is parallel to Q. And the measure of angle 2 is equal to 110 degrees. So we'll mark it right here. This is 110 degrees. So the question is, what are all the other angle measures? Okay, what are all the other angle measures? So if we look at the picture, okay, angle 2, okay, and angle 7 are vertical angles. Vertical angles are congruent. So the measure of angle 7 is going to be the same as angle 2 because they are vertical angles. This is something we haven't even talked about today. But you have to remember, vertical angles are congruent. Angle 2 and angle 4 are supplementary because they're a linear pair. So the measure of angle 4 is going to be 180 minus 110 degrees, which means it's going to be 70 degrees. And that's because they are a linear pair. So everything's a relationship with 2. Relationship with 2. So what is the relationship with angle 2? Okay. Now, the measure of angle 8 is also a linear pair with 2. So angle 8 and angle 2 again are supplementary. So angle 8 is going to be 70. They're also a linear pair. And now the question is, can we get the other ones directly from 2? Well, if I look at angle 6 and angle 2 are corresponding. Corresponding angles are congruent. If I look at angle 3 and angle 2 are alternate exterior angles. They are congruent. Okay? Alright. Now, we have a couple more left. Angle 1 and angle 5. Now, there's not a direct relationship with 2 that we can use, but we can use a couple other relationships. Okay? So for the measure of angle 1, let's say that it is supplementary with angle 6 because angle 1 and 6 form a linear pair. Or we could say that angle 4 and angle 1 are alternate exterior angles. And they're going to be congruent, so we could also use that. It doesn't matter which one you use. Okay? In both cases, if it's supplementary with 6, it's going to be 180 minus angle 6, which is going to be 70. Or if it's alternate exterior with 4, it's going to be the same as 4, which is 70. So let's say that it's going to be an alternate exterior with 4. So it's going to be the same. Alternate exterior angle with angle 4. Okay, and then I got to drag it down just for a little bit to get one more, the measure of angle 5. Okay, and the measure of angle 5, let's say it's vertical with 1. Okay, all right, let's say it's vertical with 1. Or no, let's be different. Let's do 5 and 8. 5 and 8 are alternate interior angles. They're going to be congruent. Alternate interior angle with angle 8. So notice it only takes one angle to get all 8. All right. So that's something to make a note. One angle measure to get all 8. All right. Very important to realize. Okay. All right. So here's 3.3. Stay tuned for video 3.4.